preach, I'll handle things. Oh, I see, Barbara.
Well, howdy. Here. What's up, man? What's going on, boy?
Oh, to be cautious.
All right. Well, welcome to the Saturday. Was it Sunday? Sunday night. Bible study here. Have you not read? And we're on our 12th part. 12. We've done 12 weeks, or not consecutively, but 12 weeks of Leviticus. And it's been good. It's been fun. It's been real fun. And we've been talking about handling snakes. Maybe we'll Clint over here wants to start a snake handling business. So if you have a snake, you want to get rid of snakes, he's there for you. Start his own ministry.
He needs a preacher.
He needs a preacher. He needs a preacher that likes snake handling things.
Ooh, that can be you, Jason.
So, no, I'm not the snake handling preacher. No. Mm-mm.
Paul said he would, but he's got to put his gloves on first because they might bite him.
Yeah. Cool. Like on those bee suits, snake suits. Yeah, I'm not for it. Y'all go for that. So we're not going to be talking about snakes tonight. We're going to be talking about holy things. Let's see what all we got. Just scan through. We got holy things, acceptable offerings. That's all chapter 22. And then we get to a feast, which may be a little bit more interesting. And I have a little printout I didn't give everybody because I didn't realize people would be here. I'll put it on the other side. I had to do it twice, yeah. Pretty interesting. We'll maybe reference that later on. And that's not until chapter 23. We'll look at some of these feasts. Yeah, so that's kind of where my brain's going. Trying to tackle 22, 23 tonight, at least. And move on from there. So, everybody doing good? Yeah? Oh, yeah. Been doing good? Any prayer requests? Praise for?
I would job interview Tuesday.
Job interview Tuesday. Okay. Yep. Home interview. We got homes we need. We got jobs we need. You got a job, right? Yeah. Yeah, a job. All right. The home, the job.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you had a job.
Yeah. He needs a job.
Yeah, I just need the home.
My son and his just in general, 21-year-old man with kids and it's rough. So keep him in your prayers as well. And Brother Eric's on here. Keep him always mindful. My brother, mother always Uganda. He's provided for it as well. Anyways, let's open up the prayer. Start it out. Father God, just thank you for tonight. Thank you for this church. Thank you for all you're doing here. Just thank you for this time of fellowship around the round table here, where we can just come and worship you and read your word. And regardless of what we say or commentary or questions, Lord, just the reading your word is just so rich and so full. Just blesses us just reading it, Lord. And we just want to pray for those that need the jobs, that needs a job, and just give him the right place, Lord, the right place to be, not just any job, the right job, the right people, right environment. Just give him a humble spirit when he goes to that new job. Just let him walk with you, whatever he does, whatever you send him for that. And Teresa, she needs provision in many ways, Lord. Just give her exactly what she needs, where she needs to be. and just bless her life as you have in the past and you will in the future, Lord. And Lord, just lift up my son, all his things you're bringing him through and growing him up through. Just keep him, just let him turn to you and turn his eyes on you. I also want to pray for Zach Plyler, Donald's son. He's going through, you know his heart, you know where he is, Lord. And just keep reaching out to him. Don't give up on him, Lord. Just know he's loved as well, Lord. Speak with him as well. So Lord, just bless this time reading your word, see the Holy Spirit on here, discernment, wisdom. Just teach us what you want us to know in today's time, today's society, in our lives, practically, how we can take these principles, take these things from thousands of years ago that you gave Moses, gave the Levites so long ago, and how I need to apply these principles in our own lives. Lord, we love you, praise you, and we always thank you, Christ. Amen. All right, so then let's get into it. All right, so we got a couple people on the 3 point. All right, cool. Well, welcome. Those online. All right, so we're in Leviticus chapter 22, and I'll just start reading. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to Aaron and his son, so that they may abstain from the holy things of the people of Israel, which they dedicate to me. Okay? So that they do not profane my holy name. Okay? I am the Lord. Say to them, if any one of all your offsprings throughout your generation approaches the holy things that the people of Israel dedicate to the Lord, while he has an uncleanness, that person shall be cut off from my presence. I am the Lord. None of the offsprings of Aaron who has a leprous disease or discharge may eat of the holy things until he is clean. All right. So whoever touches anything that is unclean through contact with the dead, or a man who has had an emission of semen, or whoever touches a swarming thing by which he may be made unclean, or a person who has, or whom he may take uncleanness, whatever his uncleanness may be, the person who touches such a thing shall be unclean until the evening, and shall not eat of the holy things unless he has bathed his body in water. When the sun goes down, why is when the sun goes down? He shall be clean. Anybody got an idea? Come on, smart guys. You should understand. When the sun goes down. What happens when the sun goes down in the Hebrew?
It's a new day.
It's a new day. It's a brand new day. You know, we wait till the sun comes up or after midnight in our culture. It's really weird, right? I mean, one problem, my wife was playing with my daughter. She's 19 and she's going out to like IHOP and stuff with her friends at midnight. You know, so the next day it was that day. It's like, but in Hebrew mind, yes. When the sun went down, that's when the new day started. So that's why. You have a fresh new start that new day, right? So when the sun goes down, he shall be clean, and afterward he may eat of the holy things, because they are his food. Why are they his food? Because these are the Levites, right? These are the priests, and this is how they sustain themselves. This, part of the sacrifices, a portion would be given to the family, to the priest and his family. He shall not eat what dies of itself or torn by beasts. And this is kind of a reiteration of things we've read before in general for everybody, but specifically for these priests. And when they're handling the holy things of God, holy sacrifices that are presented for God, for the sin offerings or trespass offerings or their fellowship offerings or whatever, so when they're doing this, they need to be clean. They need to make sure they're ready for service, right? So he shall not, I'll go back to 8, he shall not eat what dies with itself, or is torn by beasts, and so make himself unclean by it. I am the Lord. They shall therefore keep my charge, lest they bear sin for it and die thereby when they profane it. And the Lord who sanctifies them. Okay, so all right, let's back up here. So there's a difference before. So they do this. If they come with the uncleanness, it could be a serious thing. Just like we were talking about with like Yom Kippur with the Day of Atonement, which we'll get to the fifth feast and stuff hopefully tonight. There were the high priests that do this ritual cleaning, get completely cleaned up and get as holy as possible before he made that big yearly atonement sacrifice and provision for the whole nation of Israel, right? And it was a big deal. Remember I was talking about how they actually had a string on his ankle or whatever, to be able to pull him out in case he died before the Lord. Being in the presence of the Lord, there's something he was holding back. And he didn't clear everything up. It was a real thing. And I was thinking about that earlier when I was just going through this stuff, and I was like, I wonder what happened. Because we'll talk about like on this day, everybody's back home. Everybody's there's a big mournful like for their sins. There is a very solitude. Like a lot of these other feasts are happy times and all, but this day they're mourning with the things they've done, those kind of things. There's a fasting going on. What would happen if you heard, oh, the priest died and he was trying to go make atonement for everybody? Well, I wonder what they did. It's like, oh, okay, next priest, come on in. I don't know. I have no idea if it ever happened that way. Not be a good thing. So it's a serious thing. And we talk about that principle that people that are in ministry, which are all to be priests, right? For the new covenant, we're all called to our calling, and how important it is to, especially when you're handling things of God and doing things for God, that you're doing out of the right heart and a clean heart. And Jesus also points out exactly where it was. Eric can help me out with that. That even when we come to pray, that we need to, we come to pray and we've got a grudge against our brother, before you make your sacrifices, before you come to God, if you got a grudge against somebody, you need to go settle that before you come to him. It's the same principle here. As priests, as holy people, as sons and daughters of the Most High, we are called to be as holy as possible. You know what I mean? Not to have those grudges, not to lay all those things at Jesus' feet at least, but also to settle what we can. We're also called to do that too. Do what you can on your own provision too. So, all right. I think, is there anybody have any more question about this section here? You get the principle that they have to be clean and holy, and it's possible when they're handling the things of God, the sacrifices, honoring these things. I mean, the same. How can we apply that to like church, Melvin? Like, what do you do? What do you do the first Sunday of the month? What do you personally do? You and your wife right now. What do you two do?
We do the communion. We get the communion table ready.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when you're doing that, I challenge you to look at it like this. It's like you are the priest preparing those things. This is holy things. This is for God. This is a holy thing. And then the right heart, right mind about it, to be doing it as an act of worship to the Lord. I mean, I don't know, maybe you do. I'm assuming you would, but it's a serious thing. We should take those things seriously and not just do this or whatever,
I think,
yes.
excuse me.
Oh, you did.
I think back when I was a child,
Mm-hmm.
when you went to church,
when I was, like I said, I was a child.
Yeah.
We dressed up.
Mm-hmm.
You should. He wore shoes.
Yeah.
Did well, no other time. We had put on shoes. We looked at all the schools out.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the church I grew up in, we had to wear suits. All the men wore three-piece suits and all the women's wore dresses.
Yeah.
I went to a church not too long ago. Well, it's been several years now, but you know Joy's Barbershop right there on not Main Street, but right there where 54 crosses 138 is Joy's Barbershop. Roger Swint goes there. I go there. Family goes there. Anyway, they invited us to their church one time, and I put on a tie, and you know, Marshall, he dressed better than me. But every man there had on a full suit, and the women were all decked out. And I mean, it's a beautiful church. It's the nicest church I ever been in. I mean,
Yeah.
but that's the way they do it. You dress fit to kill. You go in there.
Yeah. We don't too much. I mean, everybody I think here has the same principle. Most people, not everybody, but the same principle is they step it up a notch. It may not be to the level of suits, but I think people come here with they're better clothing. They're better. They don't come in here
Better
most
gym
of the time.
shorts.
Huh?
They're better gym shorts.
They're better gym shorts. Yeah. There was one person who was coming for a while that did not. Kind of bugged me personally, but it doesn't come. So, but I really come, like that, and not at all. You know what I mean? So, but we've talked about it before too, about the whole balance of, all right, we want to be the stick in the mud, legalistic kind of church where you walk in the door and you come in, with t-shirt on or whatever, you're, oh no, get the dirty looks. Or you want to be the church that, okay, come as you are, and then as you get sanctified, what Paul's going to be talking about in this next series is going to basically talking about that, about being saved, that salvific effect of that initial salvation, and sanctification, that process of sanctification, what it means to be transformed. And I think you actually see that. And as people become more mature in the faith, they start wanting to honor God more, in different ways, and doing more for God, and they even should expound it out into their daily walk in life and work, right? Into the workplace, right?
Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Yes, sir. So I think that may be one of the verses he stopped. So that's been popping up a lot lately. Actually, it's in my book. I've been listening to that as well. I'm listening to my Joey Martin, who was just talking about that. So, all right, well, let's move on before we get stuck in the mud. We got 9 verses done in 19 minutes. So, all right, so a lay person. So that's lay people. Do not eat of a holy thing. No foreign guests of the priest or hired workers shall eat of a holy thing. So these holy things, remember, a portion of these sacrifices, not all of them, you had the complete burnt offering, we completely burned up. Remember that? Some of these things would be completely burned. But a lot of it, there would be portions that would be for the priests. The portion that was offered to God would be, there would be a provision for the priest and his family. So we're getting a little technical here. The lay person, so nobody else can eat this holy things that was given to God. No foreign guest of the priest or hired worker shall eat of the holy thing. So they're in the house, they're visiting with them, they're dorming with them. I'm sorry, you gotta get your, go to McDonald's or something. We're eating this bowl or whatever, tonight, and you can't have them. But if a priest buys a slave, oh boy. So a priest buys a slave and his property for money, the slave may eat of it, and anyone born in his house may eat of his food. Okay. This is one of those troublesome things, right? So this priest is buying a slave. Right there, you just look at that initial thing. You're like, what? They actually condone slavery. But the same way, much like divorce, there's provisions for divorce. God never intended divorce. Same way here, God never intended slavery of people. We're all made in God's image. Imago Dei, Imago Dei, whatever it's called. It's we're made in God's image. We're all image bearers. So enslavement is not a good thing, right? It's not condoning this here. And actually, you see a little bit difference of class here in the Hebrew. And you see it whenever it comes up. You see a little bit of provision. There's in the Hebrew Bible and the Bible period. Yes, the world at this time and the world for hundreds and even today had slavery. Humanity just likes to enslave people, right? But there's provisions here in the Bible for doing those things better, right, in holy ways. And in here, so there's a big difference here. So if you got a worker that comes in this house, hired workers, it says priest or hired worker is in their house, in their company, right? In verse 10, they can't eat of it. A hired worker can't eat of it. But the priest buys a slave. This slave becomes what?
Part of the family.
Part of the family. Yes. They you're not only, you're buying them, you're bringing them into your household and they are part of your family. Of course, I'm sure there's a different class, kind of thing, a different understanding, but they are treated as part of your family. So they get to eat a portion of this as well. So that's pretty interesting. Verse 12, if the priest's daughter marries a layman, she shall not eat of the contribution of the holy things. And why is that?
Because she's part of another man's family.
Yes. Yeah, see how we're getting that Hebrew thought and how this all works. The priest's daughter, she marries into another family. She doesn't, just like today, we take the name. The wife is supposed to, of course, we will try to change that. Wife is supposed to take the name of the husband's family. She leaves that family and goes to the other family and becomes under their lineage, right? So it's a priest's daughter. She's part of the priesthood until she marries off into a layman, into the outside, right? So she can't be partaken of that either. 13, but if a priest's daughter is widowed or divorced and has no child and returns to her father's house as in her youth, she may eat of her father's food, yet no layperson shall eat of it. Okay, so basically there's still provision for the women. You see that all the way through. The culture is very, what do you call it? What's the word? This bad word nowadays, where men control everything. I can't remember. But even though the men were very controlling, it's a male-dominant world. There's provisions in the law of Moses and in the Levitical law for women to take care of them, right? So his daughter, she is outside. She gets divorced, or widowed or whatever, and there's no children. I think because of no child, because if she had the child with the family, then could be attached to that family through the children, right? But otherwise, I guess she just gets kicked back. So she comes back into the fold. She's back in the family, right? So she gets to partake of these things. And if anyone eats of a holy thing unintentionally, he shall add the fifth of its value to it and give the holy thing to the priest. Okay, so you mess up and somehow you ate, you had a, got hungry, you're staying at the priest's house, you got just got one, you got the munchies, just go in the fridge, open it up, you see, there's a big old ram in here. Rack of ribs and lamb leg. You're just like, and then you get called. Oh no, I didn't. Oh, I'm sorry. So we have that provision of restitution. That not only do you have to replace that you have eaten, but you have to replace a fifth more, 20% more. So we've seen that before as well, the restitution for trespasses on your brothers, right? So the same kind of thing happens there. They shall not profane the holy things of the people of Israel, which they contribute to the Lord, and so cause them to bear iniquity and guilt by eating their holy things. For I am the Lord who sanctifies them. All right, so okay, so that's pretty good, pretty easily understood, I think, and applicable in some ways. All right, so acceptable offerings. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to Aaron and his sons and all the people of Israel, and say to them, when any one of the house of Israel or the sojourners in Israel present a burnt offering as his offering for any of their vows or freewill offerings that they offer to the Lord, if it is to be accepted for you, it shall be a male without blemish of the bulls or the sheep or the goats. You shall not offer anything that has a blemish." Why does it need to not have a blemish?
But it's got to be the best.
Got to be the best, right? Got to be as perfect as possible, because this is pointing to the perfect atonement from Jesus. For it will not be acceptable to you. Verse 21, and when anyone offers a sacrifice, a peace offering to the Lord to fill a vow, or as a freewill offering from the herd or from the flock, to be accepted, it must be perfect. This is the idea of being perfect as possible, right? There shall be no blemish in it. Animals blind or disabled or mutilated or having discharge or an itch or scabs, you shall not offer to the Lord or give them to the Lord as a food offering on the altar. You may present a bull or a lamb that has a part too long or too short for a free will offering, but for a vow offering, it cannot be accepted. All right, so you may present a bull or a lamb that has a part too long or too short. What is that? Okay, so kind of
Missing a horn.
a little bit informed. Just a little, you could offer it as a free will offering. Okay, so there's a little loosey goosey for those offerings, right? But for a vow, when you're making a vow, it's a more serious thing. So you can't accept those things. And remember when why did Jesus flip the tables? Break out the whip and flip the tables off.
Exchange your money.
What would they do?
Exchange your money.
Well, what was the exchange?
It was bringing the world into the temple.
Yeah.
They were in the courts, but that was still a part of the temple.
Okay. Well, what specifically were they doing? What was the game? Y'all know?
It's ripping off people.
They're ripping off people.
Thieves.
They were doing this. They were taking the priest and all. It was all part of the system. Right? It was corrupt. They were coming up and saying, "All right, this ain't gonna work. This lamb you brought from your house, no. I know you traveled 20 miles to get your own foot. That's not gonna work. You're gonna have to get something more acceptable.
So we're gonna sell you one.
So we're gonna sell you one." This is what the game was. Yes, it's exactly what the game was. Or you get there, you just have nothing. You have to buy something there. It's kind of like going to like Six Flags, or the movie theater or whatever. You go in there, they tell you don't bring your own food, don't bring nothing with you. And when you get in there, they're gonna just overcharge you like crazy. It's the same game. So when you get inside that area, you're there already. It's like, well, I'm not gonna turn around and go back home. 20-mile walk back. And yeah, they would game them, and
Mhm.
so that's what was going on. It was this, and this idea came from this. They had the perfect offering and all, and they would just be like, I don't think so. You know, they're like, yeah, go find something better. There's a good place right here. I'll go see Shmuel over there. He's got the best pigeons in the world. You know, most pure pigeons. I don't know. So yes, that was what was going on. That's why he got better mad. He's like, no, this is not what it's about, guys. No. All right, so verse 24, any animal that has its testicles bruised or crushed or torn or cut, you shall not offer to the Lord. Don't do that. You shall not do it within your land. Neither shall you offer as bread of your God any such animals gotten from a foreigner. Okay, so can we just knowing what we know, knowing what we talked about, why would this be? Let's just from our, we're getting pretty educated here. We don't need to look it up. Why would this be? Let's just think about it. Why would they not want this animals that have some I know what this is about. Testicles bruised and crushed and torn and cut. And then the added part, neither shall you offer, whereas you should not do it within your land. And that added part, you shall not do it within your land, right? Neither shall you offer a bread of your God any such animals gotten from a foreigner, right? What is this about? Just real simple. I'm not looking for something deep.
It's supposed to be perfect.
Well, yeah, that part.
They want you to come there and buy stuff.
No, I'm talking about. So we talking about.
Yeah.
It's there's something to do with this, with the pagans.
As far as
the pagans are
As far as
doing.
the foreigners go,
Yeah,
it's not Israel.
yeah.
It's,
And that's the idea here too. I'm not gonna look it up. I'm assuming this testicle thing. It's
They don't want it to be mutilated.
no mutilation, has to be perfect. And this is probably something that was done. That's why it correlates with the foreigner thing. Done as part of some other rituals and things. For
Yeah.
these other people. You don't want to be like everybody else, right? And they were probably doing some kind of, weird stuff.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Like some of them over there where he is still drink the blood and stuff.
Yep. So, that last little part there, since there is a blemish in them because of their mutilation, they will not be acceptable for you. All right. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, when an ox or a sheep or a goat is born, it shall remain 7 days with its mother. And from the 8th day on, it shall be acceptable as a food offering to the Lord. Okay, we have the 7 there, very important. But you shall not kill an ox or a sheep or her young in 1 day. And when you sacrifice a sacrifice of thanksgiving to the Lord, you shall sacrifice it so that you may be accepted. It shall be eaten on the same day, and you shall leave none of it until morning. I am the Lord. All right. And while we not leave things in the morning, that's kind of a principle we see over and over again too.
Well, when it's spoiled, if you left it overnight.
Well, yeah, but that's not the reason. I mean, they probably have some kind of way of curing things, whatever. It's mainly because
that would be yesterday's offering.
yesterday's offering. Remember, we're talking about provisions of, God providing day by day. The whole principle of
Like the manna.
like the manna kind of thing and all. So you need to eat it today. Don't leave no leftovers, because God's going to provide tomorrow. That same principle is written and instituted in everything you're doing, all the practices. That same kind of principles are over and over and over instituted. And say, I rely on God. He will provide. He's the provider. You don't need to put no leftovers in the refrigerator, because what happens when you put leftovers in the refrigerator, like in my house?
When you come in.
Here a week later.
They grow mold and fur or whatever else unless dad eats all of it. It's a big gut because he's got to eat all the leftovers. It's like, just don't even put it in there. Just throw it out. You know, let's be
Unless
like
it's ribs.
unless it's real. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So, verse 31, so you shall keep my commandments and do them. I am the Lord. You shall not pervade my holy name, that I may be sanctified among the people of Israel. I am the Lord who sanctifies you, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord. I think it's important word, a little passage there. I am the Lord who sanctifies you. It's an important principle. Nothing you doing is going to sanctify you. God, the Lord, is going to be the one sanctifying you, right? I think it's an important principle we see here. All right. So, and I think, overall, when you go through these things, you see those principles, because a lot of people try to point out, it's different God, Old Testament and the new God. The Hebrew faith is a faith of works. It's a works based religion. But you really start digging into the whole Old Testament, you really read it, and dive into it. It's not a works-based religion. It is a faith-based religion. You're doing these things because you love God, because you honor Him. You're doing these things as an act of worship, as an act of repentance. All these things are still that, in the same way with us. Christianity, following Christ, the same way even still today, is not a works-based thing. In the church and doing Bible study, doing the uniform thing for the kids thing, whatever, helping the poor, needy, whatever else does not save you, right? It's not a works-based thing. These sacrifices, these practices did not save them. It was the Lord who sanctifies them and saves them. And then our response is through our love for God and His sanctification of us and our as we become more and more, like Paul's going to be talking about, that transformation that happens in our lives was the result. The result is we will want to go to church and do Bible study and and help out people and love on people, and be more giving and all those things, right? That's the results. Those things don't save us. A lot of times in a lot of Christian traditions, they get caught up in our own human thing, make these policies. You've got to do this, this, and this. Otherwise, it ain't right.
You can ask anybody on the street,
Mm-hmm.
you think you're going to heaven?
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to say, yeah.
Yeah.
So you ask them why. They're going to start naming.
Yeah. Because I'm a good person, right? That's the worst thing in the world for you to think. If you want to be doomed to hell, think you're a good person. That's one of the worst things. It's you have to realize that you're not. None of us are. All right, so that was chapter 22. Was that good? That's pretty good. We got 39 now. Sorry, all right, we're not going to cover all these feasts, obviously, but all right. So the feast of the Lord. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the people of Israel and say to them, these are the appointed feasts of the Lord that you shall proclaim as holy convocations. They are my appointed feasts." So what does convocations mean? Anybody have a different word there? I got assemblies is probably a very good word for that. So we don't usually, does anybody use convocations in our normal speech? I cannot remember ever using that word. So assembly, coming together, right? Congregating.
That's the Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
They don't go to church, they go to assembly.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, well, we assemble, that's what we are, we come together, coming here, we're assembling. We come together Wednesday night and eat, feast, right? We're assembling together. It's an appointed feast of the week, that's what we're doing, right? So, what were you saying, brother? Was there something on that?
Yeah, my notes say various feasts belong to the Lord and emphasizes divine participation with the community.
Mm. That's what we do when we come before the Lord on Sunday. We should be coming here not to be specifically getting something from God, but to be communing with God and the body of Christ as well, worshiping God, and it's a fellowship time, right? So,
Come together for rest,
mhm,
refreshment,
mhm,
and remembering with thanksgiving all that you've done for them.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, so speaking of rest, the next thing we got verse 3 here is the Sabbath. So 6 days shall work be done, but on the seventh day is a Sabbath and a solemn rest. Right? Holy convocation. So this is a holy assembly, a time of communion with God, right? You shall do no work. It is a Sabbath to the Lord in all your dwelling places. All right. And by the time Jesus comes around, they really take this time that was given. The Sabbath was for man, right? God did this for us to give us that day off time, that rest, that day of rest. And by the time Jesus came on the scene in physical form, the Pharisees, Sadducees, and everything else turned it into this we had to do a lot of work to do the Sabbath. It was a lot of work. They had all these rules and everything. And I can't remember the name of the Hebrew book, whatever, scripture stuff, to know or whatever. I can't remember. Anyways, yeah, there's a ton. There's like 27 chapters. It's like a whole nother like Leviticus on just how to obey the Sabbath. Like it's huge. Just long chapter of just provisions of how to obey the Sabbath by their law, this extra biblical law. So it's a lot. It's work actually. We don't really get rest. The Sabbath was meant for our rest and to spend time with God. Right?
And it's their Sabbath is from sundown Friday to sundown Sunday. If you're not supposed to do anything.
It's sundown Saturday.
Sunday Saturday morning. I mean that's the Hebrew one. That's what
Yeah, that's the Hebrew, but I'm talking about when I was 7 days. It was like Steve said, sundown Friday to sundown Saturday.
Yeah, that's the same way in Hebrew.
Mhm.
That's what it is, because it starts Friday night, Saturday would start, the Sabbath would start at sundown and carry over to and that's what the Sabbath is. It's still the Sabbath is still the Sabbath today. Right? If you want to go by the Hebrew law, the Mosaic law, then the Sabbath, as far as that tradition, is that. So if you want to celebrate the Sabbath, honor the Sabbath, then that's what you need to do. Friday evening, when the sun goes down, you need to be resting. But we can talk more about that, the whole implications of that later. But in Jesus, we find our Sabbath. That's the main principle, right? He is the fulfillment of the law and the fulfillment of the Sabbath as well. He is our rest.
So the seventh day he rested when he made the earth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, all right. So we got verse 4. These are the appointed feasts of the Lord and the holy convocations, which you shall proclaim at the time appointed for them. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, at twilight, so at sundown, right, is the Lord's Passover. What's the Lord's Passover? What is that?
It's when in Egypt, when the Oh, I had to put blood on the
Mhm.
door posts and lintels.
Yeah, yeah. That was the Passover, right? 'Cause God was either himself or an angel of death or whatever came through and killed all the firstborn males, whatever, in the households. Of course, God made a provision for those that were obedient to cover their lentils with that lamb. With that before as well. So this is a celebration of that, a feast for that. And on the 15th day of the same month in the feast of unleavened bread to the Lord, for the 7 days you shall eat unleavened breads. All right. And these all kind of, and they'll be interchangeable. This Lord's Passover and the feast of the unleavened bread. When you're reading through the Bible, they'll be kind of interchangeable because they flow together. So in the first month, on the 14th day of the month at twilight, is the Lord's Passover. So that's that night, right? That day. And on the 15th day, so that very next day, that same month, the feast of unleavened bread to the Lord. And what's the unleavened bread about?
Being ready to go.
Yeah, when they remember they had the Passover that night, so they're basically reenacting what happened. So that Passover is when the Lord's passing over, and there's a big tradition, and the kids get to do all these cool things and ask Dad about what all this means for them and all. They have to go and find, they'll hide leaven of some sort. I don't know exactly, but they'll hide it around the house, so it's like a hide and seek or finding game. They go find the leaven, you get rid of the leaven in the house and all. It's pretty interesting.
Does unleavened bread last longer is that the reason for it? It lasts longer?
No, the unleavened bread is the idea that they didn't have time. So they had the Passover that night, and then Pharaoh said, get out. So they had to pack up and go, right? So they didn't have time for the bread to rise.
I got you.
Right?
So if we go to, what's these places where you go in and make your sandwich? Anyway, my wife always gets flat bread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the same.
That place in the Grange, get the name of it, but they go all through, it's built up like Jerusalem or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You go through there and they'll take bread dough
Mm-hmm.
and they'll bake it on this black rock.
Yeah.
And everybody gets to eat a little piece of it.
Didn't we all go? A bunch of y'all go down there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been there before. I didn't go.
I didn't go with them. Yeah, they went.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
But the woman that put it on, she knew everything. Even Paul said, she was right on the mark with everything she said.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a pretty interesting game. All right, let's go. As I yawn, as I say, oh, it's so funny. All right, so the piece of unleavened bread. So the unleavened bread, because they had to get out of there. So they're doing this for 7 days. You shall eat unleavened bread, right? To remember all these things, all these feasts and all. Remember what God said for them, right? So on the first day you shall have a holy convocation. You shall not do any ordinary work, right? But you shall present a food offering to the Lord for 7 days. On the seventh day is a holy convocation. You shall not do any work. Okay, so
You could work 6 days there, right?
yeah. I don't know. I think they're taking off the entire time. So, but on the first day you shall have a holy convocation. You shall not
You have
do.
animals and not feed them for.
Okay, well, on the first day you ain't doing nothing. Yeah, but that's what Jesus went to. And when he and he made the point, is like, this stuff is not to be a stressor to you, right? This stuff is supposed to be a celebration for you. It's not supposed to be hard for you to do these things. And if you got to do some work, you got to feed your animals because they're hungry. Then feed your animals. If you got to cook the food for your kids that are screaming over there, because they're hungry, you cook a box of mac and cheese, then cook a box of mac and cheese. It's not, you have to be logical about these things. These things are supposed to be a blessing to these people, not a curse, right? This is supposed to be a celebration of what God's done for them, not a, do this or you're going to die kind of thing. You know what I mean? These things, these celebrations, these are feasts, these are celebrations. These are supposed to be for the Lord, but also for yourselves and communing with God. It's this convocation, right? This assembling and mutual communion. That's the best word I can come up with. It's a communion and fellowship with God and his people, right? So, and of course, I got that little handout thing. It kind of shows, it's not a good score, but it's what I could find, what I could pop up. And it kind of shows the Passover this is going to be around February, March kind of months. And this is when, and this was the time period that they actually left. Remember when they left Egypt, immediately God's like, he told them, it's like, you're starting your day when you left. Right? When you left Egypt, that's your year. You're starting your year. Your calendar is going to be this. It's going to be different than the rest of the world. Your calendar is going to start when you left. Later on, when they come back out of Babylon, they actually got two different calendars. They got this calendar, and they've got the Babylonian calendar, and their calendar will actually start back like in September or October or something like that. So then they actually celebrate a whole different feast kind of thing when they come back out of Babylon. So, yeah, which sounds kind of strange, but we do the same thing, right? How many calendars do we do in our own society? We go by. We go by our annual calendar, January to December 31st. January 1st is December 31st. That's a year, right? That's one calendar year. But what can you think of any other calendars that we go by in our society?
Farmer's calendar.
I mean, like on the day, of course, you let your kids
Oh,
when they were in school. We go by that school calendar. It's like that school year is half of this year, half of that year. It starts in September or August now, I guess. Maybe July, some years. It goes all the way through to the end, the next spring. Right?
Football season.
Football calendar, yeah. Some people live by that football season. It's like, so we do the same thing in our world too, where we have these different calendars.
When school started, I was driving the bus. Well, they give me a calendar of all the days that was going to be off. Barbara, that's a big deal with Barbara. Know what days was.
Yeah, you gotta know which days you're doing. So, all right. So that's the Passover. So let's go. The Feast of the First Fruits. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the people of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land that I give you, and reap its harvest, okay, you shall bring the sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the priests." Okay. Well, first of all, so when's this going to get implemented? Not very quickly. Because he says, when you come into the land that I give you. So they got a long time before they're going to get there. Right? So when they do get there, then they'll celebrate this first fruits feast, I guess. So you shall bring the sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the priest, and he shall wave the sheep before the Lord, so that you may be accepted. On the day after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. So I guess on Sunday, he's going to wave this first fruits. However it's up and down. Remember we were talking about the different wavings? We had the side was like for the congregation, and the up and down was like between us and God. It's like he's waving it up and down. Kind of funny, like sound to me personally, but it's like you shall wave the sheep before the Lord, and that you may be accepted on the day after the Sabbath. The priest shall wave it on. And on the day when you wave the sheep, you shall offer a male lamb, a year old without blemish, as a burnt offering to the Lord. So this is a burnt offering. This is a complete sacrifice, right? Ain't no barbecue on this one. It just gets burnt on up. And the grain offering with it shall be 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil, a food offering to the Lord with a pleasing aroma, and the drink offering with it shall be wine, a fourth of a hin. And you shall eat neither bread nor grain, parched or fresh, until the same day, until you have brought the offering of your God. It is a statute forever throughout the generations in all your dwellings. Okay, you shall neither. What is this saying? Okay, and you shall eat neither bread nor grain, parched or fresh, until this same day, until you have brought the offering of.
It's when you gather your first fruits, you don't eat any of it until you offer.
Okay. Yes, don't eat none of it until you've offered that person. And that's a great principle, right? We talk about that principle many times. We do a lot better, as far as our offering or whatever, tithing or whatever names you want to say. It's a good, very, very good principle to put whatever it is aside that you've allocated to God aside. First, when you first get the harvest, right, the pay or whatever it is, put that aside before the bills come, before the temptations of the new toys or whatever else that you might want to buy. Put that aside. So this is for you, Lord, right? So
When you first become a Christian, that's when the devil will get you about that tithe. He'll tempt you. You'll want something.
Yeah.
You say, well, I'll do this, and you put that tithe off. You got that tithe.
Yeah, that comes up. I think that's part of the sanctification process as well. I really do. I don't think most people, some people do, maybe they do. I don't know. Just freely right off the bat, like, I just want to give. It's kind of it's a growing up, becoming mature, to where you're like, yeah, I know, and I think it's part of walking with God is you realize, oh, He does got me. You know what I mean? He does. I can trust Him, because even when the bad things come along, you can look at it and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm glad He walked me through that. He was there with me, and so it just comes with old maturity there. So, all right, I think we should stop there, I guess, tonight. So you want to read a look at the next section. Let's read this next section. Let's knock out a little bit more. Feast of Weeks. All right, so you shall count 7 full weeks from the day after the Sabbath, from the day that you brought the sheep of the wave offering. Okay, so after this, right after this thing, you're going to count 49 days plus a day. All right, you shall count 50 days to the day after the seventh Sabbath. Then you shall present a grain offering of new grain to the Lord. You shall bring from your dwelling places 2 loaves of bread to be weighed, made of 1/10 of an ephah. They shall be of fine flour, and they shall be baked with leaven as first fruits to the Lord. You shall present with the bread 7 lambs a year old without blemish. Woo! Woo!
Lot of food.
And one bull from the herd and 2 rams. All right, all right. Well, you understand what this is, though, right?
Feast.
This is a feast. We're feasting, all right? And we worked all summer long. We go or whatever. You know, we worked the whole planting season. I mean, the whole harvest season.
Mhm.
Harvested all this stuff, and we're gonna be, we're gonna be feasting. They shall be burnt. They shall be a burnt offering to the Lord with the grain offering and their drink offering, a food offering with a pleasing aroma to the Lord. And you shall offer 1 male goat for a sin offering and 2 male lambs a year old as a sacrifice or a peace offering. And the priest shall wave them with the bread of the first fruits as a wave offering before the Lord with 2 lambs. They shall be holy to the Lord for the priest. And you shall make a proclamation on the same day. What's the proclamation? You shall hold a holy convocation. You shall not do any ordinary work. It is a statute forever in all your dwelling places throughout your generations. So my phone does it sometimes. It'll have it won't do any notifications for a while, and then all of a sudden. All right. And when you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap your field right up to its edge. Nor shall you gather the gleanings after your harvest. You shall leave them for the poor and for the soldier. Yes, I love that. I love that principle there. Right? So what's the principles we see here? We see the principles of taking your first fruits, and giving them to the Lord. So that's humbling yourself and not being greedy, and that provision. Right? So he's like, right out the bat from the very first fruits, you need to give the Lord. And then you're going to come back later after you've got the lot, and you're going to give them more at the end of the harvest as well. You're going to give another first fruits thing, and have a big celebration for the harvest you've had that year. But let's not get greedy, right? Let's not take everything. Let's leave some for the poor, so that goes beyond just a tithe, right? So we got our idea of tithing, bringing our first fruits before the Lord, but we also have the idea of when not to use up everything we got selfishly, but to leave some behind in case needs come up, right? Somebody needs some help with something. We should be able to have some gleanings there still around. Something still not big.
Like Ruth,
Mhm.
that's how we were surviving. Off the gleanings.
Yeah, off the gleanings, exactly. Yes. It's a great division. And you talked about it before, but the gleaning thing I wish we could take this as part of our society still today, where you have to work for
Your food.
for your food, and for your sustenance, for your snack benefits or whatever else. I think we're really hurting people when we just give handouts for maybe in bad situations, but just a handout. There needs to be something, some kind of, even if it costs more to do, to say, all right, well, you're gonna have to do this, clean up do a road cleanup or dig some ditches, or I don't know, do something. And that's when and historically in the United States, that's kind of how it did start. The Tennessee Valley Authority thing and all that. That's where a lot of the parks and all came from. Through the Great Depression and all, they started sending people out. It's like, well, we got to do something for people. When the food stamp thing was, who was the food stamp thing for? It was for, no, it wasn't for the poor.
It was for the way that.
It was for the farmers.
All the farmers.
It's for the farmers to help them because nobody was, nobody had the money to get the food, so they did do it. So it's like they weren't. So all these programs were instituted kind of with the right principles at first, but over time it just became too much. Like, well, if you want to be provided for, we'll create something. We'll start building parks. We'll start doing something to get people working, get them doing something, right? And that's a great principle that wish we could instill today is, yeah, we'll help you out, but you don't have to get off the couch.
They're
Yeah,
doing
there's
it
too
now.
many people. That is, I heard the other day that, the majority of the people getting the freebies were driving luxury cars.
Yeah,
Not me.
well, that's,
I'm not getting freebies either, so.
well, I mean, they're there, I mean, this God has a provision for safety nets, but like my son got on the, because they don't make much, it's got 2 kids and the wife and all that, but, he was having trouble with money. And the Air Force made him get on the food stamp thing or whatever, and the WIC thing and all, and I'm just like, son, I get it, but that's a crap, because if she decides she wants to work, that's what holds people back, because I've got to make more than, the cost benefit. It's like, why should I go to work if I'm not going to make but just a little bit more than what they're giving me, and I'm going to lose that benefit? It gets people trapped in that mentality. So you have a system like this where it's free for you to come get it, but you got to come get it.
But they're making the young mothers have to get up and go to work in order to keep their food stamps.
Are they?
Yes.
Good. Oh, good. Maybe they can change.
Thousands of people ain't getting it right.
Well, that's but you see, but the president said, you see a different mindset of trying to change those things, which is good. It hurts when you're trying to change those things because people are so used to the previous, but it's not helping society. People just don't get handouts. Get for them.
Back when I was working, this lady I worked for, she was one of the customers. She had a house, was that at Title 13 or something? She had a rental house.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And there was a guy in there, and he was like in his late 20s, him and his wife and their 4 or 5 kids. And I couldn't get in the house to do the work. I had to rebuild a bathroom, tile and stuff like that. And till 10 o'clock because they didn't want to get up early. And I heard his wife talking to somebody on the phone, talking about what all kind of money they were getting coming. Says, do this and this, and just everybody gets money for something.
Yeah.
Go
Well,
over to the school in the mornings when they bring the kids to school.
Yeah.
They don't have Fords and Chevrolets. Jaguars,
Yep.
Mercedes, and they all of them getting free lunches.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right.
That's American way.
That's American way. So. All right. Why don't you close this out?
Thank you, dear Heavenly Father, for this time of gathering to learn more about you and your statutes and how we put them into our lives today. Thank you for the gathering here tonight, Lord. Bless everyone as they're going home. Provide for them and their families and those that know we need help. And Father, help us in our daily lives. And thank you for everything that you have done, past, present, and in the future for us. And help us to bring others into your fold as we have the opportunities to do so. And once again, I thank you for all who have attended this Bible study. And may we continue to come and learn about you more and more. I ask these things in the name of the Father and the Holy Ghost. Amen.
Amen. All right. I didn't hear it.
I know.
I think you fell asleep.
I didn't hear you.
Well, 3 o'clock in the morning.
He was sitting there like
3 o'clock in the morning.
this for a long time. Like,
He was taking a nap.
None of that.
hey, I'm gonna do a TOT physical tomorrow, so we do something that's good sport. I don't know. We'll have to talk about it in the morning. But all All right, bro.
Oh, you gotta do a DOT.
Yeah.
Oh, you right, bro?
Yes, ma'am.